Hey everybody! Today, we are going to talk about the paternity leaves in the world. As you may have noticed, there is a rise in baby-boring dads recent years. Adorable? Absolutely. A sign of progress toward more equitable parenting roles? Perhaps. Dads may be taking on more responsibility, which, of course, is a step in the right direction, but during the crucial first days, weeks and months after birth, they are usually not getting enough support to do so. When it comes to paternity leave, the many countries are seriously lagging in both policy and individual action. A study conducted by the Boston College Center for Work and Family show that while 3 out of 4 fathers desire to spend more time with their children, 2 out of 3 fathers believe caregiving should be split 50-50 with their spouse. A staggering 76% of fathers go back to work after 1 week or less after the birth of a child, and 96% after 2 weeks or less. Let's cross the Atlantic now. While the current laws are restrictive for many Americans, fortunately, change is in the works. 9 out of 10 American dads do take some time off following the birth of a child. But given the current state of our country's family leave laws, exactly how much is less than in some other places around the world? In the U.S., the Family and Medical Leave Act, FMLA, is the only federal legislation guaranteeing leave to care for a newborn, newly adopted child or an ill family member. 12 weeks of unpaid, job-protected time off for both moms and dads, and although around 90 million of people are covered by FMLA, 41% of Americans aren't. Why? The law only applies to those at a company of at least a year and a minimum of 25 hours per week. Simply eliminating this threshold would make an additional 31.7 million workers eligible for the FMLA. In reality, 46% of people who do have access to FMLA leave don't take it because they can't afford to. Indeed, according to a 2014 Boston College survey, 86% of dads say they wouldn't take parental leave unless they were paid at least 70% of their salaries. Paid family leave, on the other hand, is up to the discretion of individual employers, but unfortunately, without a law on the books, only about 13% of us workers have access to paid family leave. As for part-time American workers, even fewer have access to parental leave, just 5% of part-time workers. For most Americans, this means that paternity leave isn't paid or a combination of cobbled-together vacation and sick leave. Most dads say they feel comfortable taking off around 2 weeks. Many also say peer pressure from colleagues keeps them from taking off as much as they'd ideally like to take. The good news is that American attitudes toward paid family leave laws are changing gradually on the state level. 4 states have, in fact, enacted paid family leave programs that are available to both public and private sector workers. In California, they created the first paid leave legislation that went into effect in 2004. The New Jersey's laws, which went into effect in 2009, offer 6 weeks of family leave. Rhode Island enacted a new law that went into effect in 2014 that offers 4 weeks of paid family leaves. New York paid family leave went into effect in 2018. Washington, Massachusetts and Washington, D.C. also have enacted laws that will go into effect between 2019 and 2020. So, why dads actually don't take paternity leaves? A survey conducted by Dove Men Plus Care shows 21% fathers fear that they would lose their job if they would take the full amount of paternity leave available to them. Perception gap between managers and employees. Among the results of the survey is a striking finding of managers. 66% of men and women believe their immediate managers want fathers to take all the paternity leave available to them. But when managers were asked, 87% said they believe fathers should take all the time available. This is a gap of 21%. Reason explaining this gap is the managers never explicitly voice their support for male employees taking leave. Further, some managers who profess to support paternity leave don't take the full amount themselves. In fact, the new survey found, men who manage others took less leave than other employees. According to the National Study of Employers, only 15% of men receive at least some pay while taking time to care for a new child. In that same study, 58% of women receive at least some pay while on maternity leave. Also, another scientific study shows that paternity leave do have a significant negative effect on fathers' earning. On average, fathers earn 1% to 3% less as a direct consequence of the paternity leave. Of course, this could also due to those fathers tend to paying more attention to family life as career and this drive to this gap. As one knows, Scandinavian countries are reputed to be one of the best places in the world concerning life quality. Well, once again, their reputation is not based on anything. Concerning our subject here, paternity leave, Sweden has the best policy in the world. As you may know, in a lot of places in the world, when a baby is coming, it is most of the time the mother that will stay home after the baby is born. It is kind of an unfortunate archaic code. Well, in Sweden, since 1971, the government has adopted a policy named split leave and became the first country in the world to allow it. It consists of 480 days subsidized leave per child, which parents can share as they wish, with 390 paid days for by the taxpayer at a rate of about 80% of their salary. Then for example, if you have joint custody of the child, you are each entitled to 240 days of parental leave. Of these 240 days, 90 days are reserved for each of you. One of the parents can choose to transfer the remaining 180 days to the other parent. If you have sole custody, you are entitled to all 480 days. The particularity is that 3 months of this allowed time is under take it or leave it form for each parent, which is an incentive to use it since neither the father or the mother will want to miss out on the subsidized days. The policy gives a powerful incentive for fathers to take time off work. Mothers in Sweden now take 75% of parental pay compared to 99.5% in the 1970s, and parents say it's transformed national attitudes to childcare and gender. If every country were willing to make these kinds of step ahead concerning these topics, it could increase gender equality in terms of labor. It could also allow mothers to receive more help from her spouse and in the meantime allow fathers to spend more time with their children when they just born. This is the thing that most father must want to do even if it is sometimes unsaid. Overall, what are the benefits that could be brought by paternity leave both to company and employee? Making paternity leave available and affordable also helps businesses. The Center for Economic and Policy Research found in California, after a paid family leave insurance program was enacted, most employers reported that it had either a positive effect or no noticeable effect on productivity, turnover and employee morale. When businesses don't have paternity leave, they lose great men. The survey from Promundo and of Men Plus Care found that 69% of men are even more willing than 66% of women to change jobs if necessary in order to be very involved in the early weeks and or months of their child's life. This follows previous research from EY that found men are more likely to change jobs or careers, give up promotions, take pay cuts, or move in order to have more time with family. We can find other benefits of these parental leave like it enhances parents' relationship, improves a dad's ability to care for children in the long term, has positive effects on a child later in life, increase the mother's well-being. Looking at all these benefits, how could current situation be improved? Managers and supervisors need to be more vocal about their support for parental leave and emphasize that even if a man taking leave does create some challenges at work, they believe in the value of that leave to employees and their families. Secondly, relating laws and policies should also be introduced. Research shows when paid paternity leave is made available by law, fathers do use it. Importantly, this isn't just because the law exists, rather, it's because when some brave souls take leave, that seems to reduce the stigma and encourage peers to take time off, too. Using data from Norway, which implemented a law allowing 4 weeks of paid leave for dads in April 1993, the researchers first isolated how many eligible men took leave across the board. The rise, from 3% prior to 1993 to 70% in 2006, is considerable. Now, let's take the example of Switzerland. One could say that this country is very developed and that the paternity leave is only a formality. Well, it's the only European country where men do not have access to any legal parental or paternity leaves. Overall, in this country, motherhood and fatherhood were associated with different and specialized responsibilities. Fathers mainly had a secondary and temporary role with the newborn, while mothers were the central and taken for granted parent. The institutional context plays a role in mothers' labor participation, or men's and women's time spent in households and childcare tasks. In fact, everything is linked to gender-specific policies through mechanisms. For example, through the mechanism of socialization, it is said that the mother must necessarily have a stronger bond than the father with child. The use of leave, therefore, has a positive effect on the subsequent involvement in the care and upbringing of the child. Nowadays, in Switzerland, employers, especially public ones, start to give small paid paternity leaves and or few months of unpaid parental leaves. To quickly summarize, why are fathers not taking their full amount paternity leave? They fear to lose jobs, the perception gap between managers and employees impacted also, and finally, financial disadvantages does not help it. What are the benefits brought by paternity leave? It increases employees' performance, it also prevents talent loss and, further, enhance employees' role as a father. How to improve? Managers and supervisors need to be more vocal about their support, and relating laws and policies should be introduced in the different countries of the world. Overall, looking at this topic with a global perspective, Scandinavian countries are considered to be the most developed examples in the world. As Swiss is starting to improve, and for the US there is still a long way to go. We hope this video has been helpful for you. Thank you for your attention.